Hello and welcome to another video. I hope that you're all very well. Today we'll be focusing on the independent driving section of the UK driving test. However, you will find the information useful in this video regardless of wherever in the world that you are driving. As part of the driving test, you will be asked to drive independently without any instructions from the examiner for approximately 20 minutes. 80% of the candidates will be asked to follow directions given by a satnav, whereas the remaining 20% will be asked to follow direction signs. It's important that you remember that this is not a memory test. You do not need to know the area. The purpose of this part of the test is to show the examiner that you can drive independently without any instructions given by the examiner. The independent driving section can be requested at any time during the test. However, firstly, the examiner will ensure that you are safely parked up, and then he or she will say something along the following words. Shortly, I would like you to drive for some distance independently. I would like you to follow the signs towards Slough, please. Continue to follow the signs unless I tell you otherwise. Drive on when you're ready. I'm going to go for a short drive and I'm going to follow the signs towards Slough. However, before I get started, I want to emphasize that there are two types of signs that I am really interested in watching out for. Firstly, there are information signs. Information signs are usually on a square or a rectangle. So those are the signs I'm looking for. Also, I need to be aware of other signs, especially signs giving orders which are in a circle. Red circle is a negative order and a blue circle is a positive order. So those are the top three important signs that I'm looking for. I'm looking for information signs, and I'm looking for negative orders and positive orders. That doesn't mean that I don't have to watch the other signs, but if there are 10 signs in front of me all of a sudden, I need to prioritize the signs accordingly, and I need to see if there's any information signs and if there's any signs giving a negative order, and then looking out for signs giving positive orders. Only and then can I worry about the rest of the signs. We have just noticed a white rectangular sign in the distance. Furthermore, we know that we are approaching the end of the road. The first thing we need to do is check our rear view mirror and ease slightly off the accelerator. This will give us a chance to read the sign. We can notice that Slough is on the left. We now need to restart our MSM routine. We can also see a blue circular sign giving us an order. We must travel in a clockwise direction at the junction. In other words, it's a mini roundabout. On entering the new road, we can see a circular sign indicating the national speed limit. However, let us assume that we've missed the sign. So we keep our speed at 30 miles per hour. In that case, it is important that we look out for street lighting in the hope of seeing some signs, but we don't see any. The highway code states that in the absence of street lighting, the national speed limit applies. We therefore need to increase our speed. We should be aware that the speed limit will not stay at 60 miles per hour, which is the national speed limit for a car on a single carriageway. We therefore need to be looking out for road signs and road markings. Due to the overgrown bushes, we cannot see the speed sign, but we can see the road marking indicating a change of speed to 40 miles per hour. We need to be looking far ahead as possible for rectangular information signs. We can see an information sign in the distance, but at this stage we cannot read it. According to this sign, we are approaching a double roundabout. We will need to turn right at the first roundabout and then turn left at the second roundabout towards Slough. We have a red circular sign giving us an order not to exceed 30 miles per hour. All the leading vehicles seem to be going over the roundabout. However, that does not make it right. We have a blue circular sign indicating that we must go in a clockwise direction. We need to be prepared to give way at the second roundabout if necessary. There are no signs on the new road, therefore we must assume it's a continuation of the previous road. So we must assume that the speed limit on this road is 30 miles per hour. This sign is in a rectangle, therefore it is an information sign. The 20 mile per hour sign is not a legal speed limit, as it is not in a red circle. It is only advisable when the lights are flashing. In other words, during certain times of the day, when school children are either entering or leaving the school building. The driving examiner has now provided us with new instructions to follow the signs towards either. We have a change of speed in the distance. We want to ensure that we do not increase our speed until we have reached the sign. Although we cannot see any signs, we can see traffic crossing our path, so we must be approaching a junction. We can now see an information sign, which is hidden by the overgrown trees. We were unable to read that sign. The driving examiner will usually interrupt and provide us with additional information. However, if they don't provide the extra help, we have two choices. One, either to play guessing games, or two, to ask the examiner for help. You will not be marked down for asking the examiner. The driving examiner has now advised us that either is to the left, first exit. Once on the new road, we need to watch out for both road signs and road markings. especially those giving us an order. During the independent drive, things are a little bit different. No one will provide us with instructions such as, at the roundabout, turn right please. Firstly, we need to identify that we are approaching a junction. Secondly, we need to identify what type of junction it is. Finally, you need to decide which direction to turn, where the destination is. For example, if it's right on the roundabout, is it the second exit, third exit, or the fourth exit? Once we have all the information, then and only then can we think about starting the MSM routine. Once again, we can see traffic crossing our path in the distance, so we must be approaching another junction. We need to be alert, watching out for information signs. We have noticed a sign giving us an order not to exceed 40 miles per hour. We can now see the information sign informing us that we need to turn left at the roundabout towards Iva. There is a speed limit on the right, informing us that the speed limit is 40 miles an hour on the new road. If that sign was not there, we would still assume that the speed limit is 40 miles per hour, as it would be a continuation of the previous road. However, if we are really unsure, it would be advisable to drive at 30 miles per hour until we have seen a sign telling us otherwise. The speed has now changed to 30 miles per hour. This is confirmed by the road signs and the road markings. It is important to remember that all road markings are always on the road. This is a good reason to keep your distance away from the driver in front, enabling you to read the road markings. The driving examiner has now instructed us to follow the signs marked Uxbridge. It is important to note that you can ask the driving examiner to repeat any instructions at any time. Furthermore, you can ask for clarifications on the spelling of the destination. For example, you can ask the examiner, does Uxbridge start with UX or OX? The driving examiners will be more than pleased to help you. The information sign advises to follow the road ahead if we wish to proceed towards Uxbridge. It also provides additional information that we are approaching a roundabout. If you were to misread the sign and you turned left instead of going straight on, this would not be marked as a fault in the driving test, provided you followed the MSM routine and you continue to drive safely. The driving examiner will guide you back to your destination. We can see another information sign in the distance. Uxbridge is marked as following the road ahead at the 11 o'clock position. I hope you found this video really informative. If so, please consider liking and sharing. Thank you for your time. Take care. Bye bye.